Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know my channel, then welcome. My name is Ruben Roper. I'm an actor and theatre director from Cornwall. So why am I talking to you about school? Well, for the best part of a year, I have started working as a teaching assistant, working with kids who struggle in the school environment. Now the reason for this is a number of things. Trying to be an actor and setting up a theatre company is a very long and gradual process, and I've got bills to pay. But the main reason I work with children who struggle in school is because I was one of them. I found school really hard. In fact, I didn't really last in school, and recently it sort of came to my attention that a couple of my students had seen my channel, so I thought, how about I offer some friendly advice and talk about my own experience. Please note that I'm not a licensed counsellor or a qualified teacher. I am simply a TA and an autistic person recounting a story of my own experience. So I started in a really lovely primary school with a fantastic head teacher. It was a CAV school and she was brilliant. She really got me. She really understood my needs. She really got on with my parents. It was fantastic. However, since my early years, my parents were starting to notice that I was a little different. I wasn't really one of those kids who played football. I was unusually creative for my age, very interested in acting and singing. I was very emotional and didn't really seem to fit in. And that meant, quite simply, I was bullied. I was bullied for being different, for not fitting in. I was that kid who stuck out like a sore thumb. Some of the teachers in that school were amazing. My year 5 teacher and my head teacher especially were so fantastic, and they really got me and my situation, and they helped me so much. At age 10, I was diagnosed with autism, and we started very much changing the way we did things, having very clear rules, giving me more of a routine, and in fact I had to very much sort of stick to my routine nowadays in order to kind of be self-regulated. Then I moved from primary to secondary school, and like a lot of kids, I found the transition really hard. It was very different, much bigger school, way more kids to look out for. People were harsher, they were more brash, there was way less care put into me, and I felt really alone, to be honest. It was really hard, and I was bullied again. Often when you're bullied, you can struggle to find the middle of being a doormat and just taking it and not standing up for yourself, or becoming a really, really angry person. And that was what I did. I just started losing it. My anger became completely out of control. I had massive problems with my anger, and I just felt like no one was listening. And it wasn't a thing of me going from 0 to 100. I was always at 90. I was like a coiled spring. I was really stressed that someone would start picking on me, or a teacher would ask something of me that I couldn't do, and I felt like I was always ready for that. I was tensed up all the time. I used to come home around sort of year 8 time. I'd come home with really achy shoulders because I was so tensed up, and I was always looking over my shoulder. I felt like teachers just weren't interested in my problems. They just were like, here's your work, just do it, we don't care. Now, I've found that this is very, very different to schools now. They've massively upgraded how they understand things like SEN and how SEN departments should be run, and how kids need more help, especially neurodiverse kids or kids with behavioural problems, because usually it goes hand in hand. But back then, in my own time of school, there was not a lot. I had a TA that I absolutely loved. She was brilliant. She made so much easier for me. She was a friend of my mum's, and she was funny, and she was kind of rebellious, and she really understood me, and I felt really safe with her. But you wouldn't have known that to look at me. My anger was just getting worse and worse and worse, and I felt like I was on this train that just wasn't going to stop, and there was one destination, and that was Angry Town. I was getting into fights daily. I'd get excluded, I'd get sent home, I'd come back, I'd get back into fights and excluded again. It just never seemed to stop. I was angry at teachers because it just felt like they just didn't care. It just felt like they completely didn't care. It was almost like I was trying to scream loud enough to see if anyone could hear me. I was flipping out at teachers, I was swearing at them, throwing things, leaving classes, running around the school, running amok. I lost control. And I felt like, to be honest, I lost a bit of who I was. I felt like through this time that all the good things about me were gone. Like all of the good had left me, and the only things that were left were just the bad things. I felt all of that good had just been pulled out, and I was kind of left as this thing, and I don't want this, I don't like this, I don't want to be this. I felt like I'd become a diminished version of myself, and it didn't have to be that way. When I was 13, I went to my doctor and I was diagnosed with depression. That's a whole different story that I might explain in another video. Very soon after this happened, the decision was made that I could no longer handle school and that I shouldn't be in that environment. And the decision was made that I would be homeschooled. And this was in year 8, and it felt like the whole world had just ended. I was 13 years old and I just felt like my entire future is gone and I'm on my own and it's just crashing down around me. I'd realised I had made a total mess of things. My mum started homeschooling me and it was time to restart again. And in that time I realised that if I want to go out into the world, I need to turn some things around. I need to get educated, I need to find myself again, I need to sort some stuff out. And so for the next 5 years I studied in my room, or in coffee shops, or in one-to-one tutoring, and I had to kind of slow down and try again. I had to find out what worked for me. And it wasn't easy. You know, days could be stressful, but I started finding ways that worked in terms of how I learned. I worked out that no, I can't sit still for very long. I mean, I'm barely sitting still now. It's kind of a miracle that I'm not running around my house right now. I realised that I was a very sort of visual learner. I had to see things to understand them, to kind of make a 3D model of it in my head, and so I could take that in. I had to learn new ways that weren't necessarily normal at the time. And by some miracle, I got my GCSEs and I started going to college. I made my own business, I started making films, I started getting back into acting, I started really finding out who I was again. I went to a youth theatre, I went on crazy adventures, and the good things that I thought I'd lost, I hadn't lost. They just weren't showing up at that time, and they were always there. I just had to find them again. Now the question is, why am I making this video? Why am I telling you all this stuff? Well, it recently became apparent to me that a number of my students have seen my videos, and I thought to myself, I think they should know that even when they're at rock bottom, there is always a way forward. It is never too late to just take a moment to breathe and try again. Because it's really easy, isn't it, to let time run away with us and go, hang on, I used to be something else. What is this? I used to be a straight A student. I used to be really popular. I used to be happy and chilled out, and now I'm angry all the time, and I'm talking back to teachers, or I'm in a bad mood, and that's giving me an attitude, or stuff's going on at home, and it's coming into my school life, and I can't deal with it. I can't deal with all these millions of different things, and no one's listening. All this stuff's happening, and I can't concentrate, and it's driving me mental. But there are people that will listen. If you are in school and you are feeling these things, know this: it is not too late to ask for help. It's not too late to turn things around. And yeah, asking for help is embarrassing and it's hard, but believe me, dude, it is worth it. SEN has massively changed. It's changed hugely since I was at school. We know so much more about it. Schools are now more equipped to help students who are having these difficulties. There are people that will help and there are people that will listen. It's literally what I do for a living. There are so many of us come and ask for help. It does not have to be this hard to get through school. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then let me know by giving me a like and a subscribe. And if you'd like me to do another video on school stuff and how to deal with things, anything school related, comment below. I'd love to hear suggestions. If you're in school and you're struggling with things that I've talked about in this video, then speak to a teacher, your school counsellor, or someone in the SEN department. We're here to help. School can be hard, but there are people that can help with that. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ruben Roper, signing off.